Your mind is a battlefield. And right now, who's winning? Discipline or doubt, clarity or chaos? Every day, every decision is a silent battle within you. And if you feel like you're not in control, you're not alone. But let me tell you something. If you don't strengthen your mind, the world will do it for you, and not in the best way. How much longer will you let emotions control you, let fear dictate your life? Today, I'm going to reveal the 12 most powerful habits that can completely transform the way you think, decide, and act. We're not talking about empty theories, but real practices used by the great Stoics to forge an unbreakable mind. Because let's be honest, life isn't going to wait for you to get stronger. Either you take control or you remain a puppet of your emotions and circumstances. Each habit will free you from instability, doubt, and mental fragility. And the best part? You can start applying them today. So tell me, are you ready to stop being a prisoner of your own mind and start building an impenetrable inner fortress? Before we begin, let me tell you the story of someone who seemed to have everything under control, until life proved just how fragile his mind really was. Daniel was an ordinary man. He had a stable job, his own home, a family, and had achieved many of his goals, the kind of life most people strive for, right? But what no one knew was that deep inside, he had been on the verge of collapse for a long time. Until one day, everything fell apart. All it took was a simple phone call, a work problem, nothing too serious. But something inside him snapped. Suddenly he felt like the air had disappeared. His heart was racing, his vision blurred. He stood there frozen, shaking, overcome by a feeling he had never experienced before. It wasn't just anxiety. It was as if his mind had gone on strike, as if it just couldn't take it anymore. The following weeks were a nightmare. Insomnia, panic attacks, dark thoughts he couldn't control. Nothing that had worked for him before seemed to help. But the scariest part wasn't the anxiety itself. It was realizing that he had no control over his own mind. Just when he was about to give up, his grandfather, a man who had lived through wars, crises, and moments that would have broken anyone, took his hand and said, "If you suffer before it's necessary, you suffer twice." Seneca. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. That sentence hit him harder than any therapy session or well-intentioned advice, because it was true. His whole life, he had been fighting battles that only existed in his mind. He worried about problems that hadn't even happened yet, drained his energy on scenarios that might never come to pass. That was the day he made a decision. Either he kept letting his mind destroy him, or he started rebuilding it from scratch. And do you know how he did it? With habits, small daily actions that transformed the way he thought. And today, those same habits are the ones that can help you. So tell me, are you going to keep letting your mind control you, or are you ready to learn how to master it? Because in this video, we're going to go through 12 habits that can change everything. And the last one might just be the most important of your life. Let's get started. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this content, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member to access unique benefits. And let us know in the comments, what do you think truly makes a strong mind? We want to grow together with you. 1. Meditate and build mental strength. Do you think a warrior prepares only through physical training? Wrong. The toughest battlefield is in your own mind, and if you don't train it, any problem will knock you down like a leaf in the wind. Think of Marcus Aurelius. He ruled the Roman Empire, faced wars, betrayals, and plagues. One day he was in his luxurious palace. The next, he was in a freezing winter camp, surrounded by enemies. How do you think he handled that pressure? With anger? With fear? Spoiler? No. He did it with calm, with clarity, with absolute mental control. Not because he had some supernatural power, but because he trained his mind every single day. And no, he wasn't sitting cross-legged chanting Om. For the Stoics, meditation was much more practical. It meant reflecting on their thoughts, examining their emotions, and preparing for any storm that might come their way. Epictetus put it clearly, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Michael Acton Smith, the creator of calm, admitted that before discovering this habit he lived in a constant state of anxiety. He himself said, "I worked non-stop, slept poorly, and my mind was a mess." But when he started meditating, everything changed. Suddenly, instead of being a slave to his thoughts, he learned to direct them. Now tell me, how many times have you felt like your mind is a whirlwind of worries? That you think and think and think but get nowhere? Like your mind is a runaway car speeding downhill with no brakes? The good news is, you can pull the handbrake. And you don't need hours, just 10 minutes a day. Acton Smith explains it clearly. You don't have to be a Buddhist monk or dedicate half your life to meditation to feel its benefits. Just start small. A couple of minutes anywhere, morning before bed, or even during a short work break. And here's the most important part. Don't try to do it perfectly. Your mind will wander, you'll get distracted, you'll feel weird at first, and that's okay. The only thing you have to do is bring your focus back to your breath. No judgment, no frustration, just return. Imagine you're in the middle of a chaotic day. You woke up late, your boss is pressuring you, your meeting ran over, and you didn't even have time to eat. Your mind jumps from one problem to another without rest. But instead of letting the chaos consume you, you decide to do something different. When you get home, you sit down. You take a deep breath. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Slowly. You feel the air moving in and out. For a few seconds, nothing else matters. Thoughts will come, because that's how the mind works. I need to send that email. What if I miss the deadline? What's going to happen tomorrow? And that's okay. You acknowledge them, but you don't latch on to them. You let them pass like clouds drifting in the sky. And then, you return to your breath. Over time, this becomes your anchor. No matter what happens around you, you know how to regain your calm. Because a strong mind isn't one that never gets shaken. It's one that always finds its way back to tranquility. So the next time you think you don't have time to meditate, remember, it's like saying you don't have time to sharpen your sword before battle. 2. Silence is your greatest weapon. Silence makes you uncomfortable. You avoid it like a giant spider about to trap you in its web. You turn on the TV without watching, play music without listening, fill every space with noise. You're terrified of being alone with your own mind. But what if I told you that the most powerful weapon you have isn't what you say, but what you don't say? Look at great leaders. A true strategist in a meeting isn't the one who talks the most. It's the one who listens the most. They observe, analyze, and let others reveal who they really are. Because words can deceive, but silence always reveals the truth. That's what a strong mind does. It controls itself instead of reacting. Neuroscientist Mariano Sigmund explains that in times of conflict, silence isn't just a pause. It's a tool that can change the course of a conversation. Often, when a discussion escalates, our instinct is to respond quickly, to raise our voice, to defend ourselves without thinking. But according to Sigmund, silence gives you the breathing room to see the full picture before making your move. It's like chess. The most brilliant players don't move their pieces impulsively. They wait, observe, and think several moves ahead. So, my friend, silence doesn't make you weak. It makes you more strategic, more intelligent, stronger. And this isn't new. Seneca knew it centuries ago. He said, "Silence is the refuge of the wise." But it wasn't just theory, he practiced it. He took long moments of reflection before responding, carefully analyzed every word he spoke, and most importantly, understood that not everything deserves an immediate reaction. Imagine this. You're at a gathering with friends, and out of nowhere someone says, "Hey, have you noticed you've put on a few pounds? And you look exhausted too." In that moment, your mind explodes. You feel the urge to fire back with an equally cutting remark, to hit them where it hurts. But if you pause for just a second, just 1 second, you realize something. It's not worth it. Now let's be clear. Silence doesn't mean letting people walk all over you or accepting injustice. Not at all. But knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet is a skill that will save you from countless problems. So, do you want to train like a warrior and use silence as your greatest weapon? First, practice the emperor's pause. Before responding in any tense situation, take a 3-second pause. No more, no less. Breathe, observe the other person's expression, and think about what your response will create. Will it make you seem wise, or will it only fuel the conflict? Second, in your mind, when someone provokes you, imagine 3 different ways to respond. One aggressive, one passive-aggressive, and one calm. Then choose the one a Stoic sage would choose. You'll find that, more often than not, the best option is to say nothing at all. Silence isn't weakness, it's power. It's the shield against impulsivity, the space where a strong mind is forged. Because while others react without thinking, you decide. So next time you feel the urge to respond without thinking, remember this: the one who masters their silence masters their mind. 3, if you don't move, you weaken. Think of a snail without its shell. It would be vulnerable, unprotected, unable to move with confidence. Its shell is its refuge, its shield, its tool for survival. That's why it takes such good care of it. It clings to its home as the most valuable thing in its life. Well, my friend, you also have a home that is your most valuable treasure, your body. If you abandon it, if you don't take care of it, if you don't strengthen it, you become your own worst obstacle. Let me tell you the story of John McAvoy and how his body saved him. John was a prisoner and he was at rock bottom, not metaphorically, literally. Locked in a cold cell, listening to metal doors slamming shut behind him, with no future beyond a life sentence. His mind was shattered. Every day was the same. He woke up, stared at the ceiling, counted the hours. No direction, no purpose, nothing. And in that darkness, hopelessness consumed him. He had no control over his life, but worse, he had no control over his own mind. But one day, something changed. Walking through the prison, he saw an old stationary bike in the corner of the gym. Without thinking too much, he got on. He pedaled for a few minutes, then a few more. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he could do something, that he had control over at least one movement in his life. And that's how it started. Day after day, pedaling without a destination, but with a purpose that had begun to awaken. Every drop of sweat didn't just strengthen his muscles, it rebuilt his mind. He stopped being a prisoner without a future and started feeling like someone capable of rewriting his story. By the time he was released, he was no longer the same man. He became an elite endurance athlete, breaking records, leaving his criminal past behind, and finding purpose where there had once been only despair. John didn't just rebuild his body, he rebuilt his mind. And science backs this up. Movement isn't just about physical health, it's about connection to life. Dr. Andy Galpin explains that the less you move, the more isolated you become. Think about it. If you can't walk much, you won't go to your cousin's birthday party in the mountains. If you can't lift a suitcase, you stop traveling. If you feel drained all the time, you'd rather stay home than go out and meet people. And little by little, your world shrinks. Now tell me, how many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? And that tomorrow turns into a week, then a month. And before you know it, you've gotten used to inactivity, to low energy, to feeling sluggish. And the worst part? This affects your mind too. But here's the solution. Move, even if it's just a little. Walk every day. You don't need to run marathons, but your body is designed for movement. Don't let it rust. Find something you enjoy. You don't have to force yourself to go to the gym if you hate it. Dance, swim, hike. The best exercise is the one you can do without feeling like it's a punishment. And most importantly, use movement as therapy. The next time you feel stressed or frustrated, don't stay trapped in your thoughts. Step outside, even for a few minutes. Mental clarity comes after action. Even a wise man like Seneca knew this. A well-cared-for body is a reflection of an orderly mind. And no, don't get it wrong. This isn't just about looks or being in shape. It's much bigger than that. When you move, when you strengthen your body, you're training your mind. You're developing discipline, endurance, clarity. Because if you can't master something as basic as your own movement, how do you expect to master the rest of your life? So stop looking for excuses. Get up, move, and start building the strong mind you need. 4. Want to be unstoppable? Sleep well. My friend, they say there was once a lion in the savannah who believed he was invincible. His mane shone under the sun, his roar commanded respect, and his speed made him unstoppable in the hunt. But there was one thing he didn't believe in: rest. While the other lions slept in the shade of the trees, he stayed alert, always moving, always hunting. Sleep is for the weak, he thought. I am stronger than sleep. Until one day the savannah put him to the test. The sun burned in the sky, and he had gone days without proper rest, relying only on his instincts and strength. Then he spotted his prey, a lone gazelle, the perfect opportunity. He launched into the chase, but something was wrong. His legs, once light, felt heavy. His mind, once sharp, now hesitated. He tried to speed up, but the gazelle was already pulling ahead. His reflexes were slower, his vision blurry, his energy drained. And just like that, the great king of the savannah was left behind, watching as his meal slipped away. But hunger doesn't wait, and the wild doesn't forgive those who aren't at their best. That night, the lion lay under the moon, feeling the full weight of his exhaustion for the first time. He hadn't lost because he was weak. He had lost because he wasn't rested. From that moment on, he learned that even the king of the savannah must close his eyes to keep ruling. Because without rest, the prey always escapes. Without rest, the body shuts down. And without rest, even the strongest will eventually fall. And you, my friend, are you one of those people who say, "I'll sleep when I retire," or "I'll rest when I'm dead"? Trust me, that mindset will only lead you to burnout and a weakened mind. Do you think Marcus Aurelius would have stayed up watching one more episode of your favorite show? Of course not. For the Stoics, rest wasn't a luxury. It was a necessity to maintain mental clarity and inner strength. They knew that a tired mind is fertile ground for uncontrolled emotions and impulsive decisions. Matthew Walker, in his book Why We Sleep, makes it clear: sleep isn't a luxury. It's a vital necessity for your mind. While you sleep, your brain isn't resting. It's working for you. It strengthens your memory, processes your emotions, and clears out toxins that, if left to build up, affect your mental clarity. But what happens when you don't sleep well? Everything falls apart. Your focus blurs, your ability to make decisions weakens, and your mood plummets. It's like trying to use a phone with 5% battery. Every task feels twice as hard, and even small problems overwhelm you. So don't fool yourself with the classic "I can function on little sleep," because sooner or later, the consequences will catch up with you. Depriving yourself of rest is sabotaging your own mind. So what can you do? First, turn off screens at least an hour before bed. You've probably heard this 1,000 times, but blue light tricks your brain. It blocks melatonin production, the hormone that helps you sleep. The result? You get in bed, but your mind is still racing. Second, change the habit. Read a book, listen to relaxing music, or do a wind-down routine. Your brain needs a transition between day and night. And here's something crucial. Your bedroom should be a temple of rest, dark, cool, and quiet. If you use your phone, at least switch to night mode and keep it on a table far from reach. Finally, wake up with purpose. It's not just about sleeping well, it's about having a reason to get up. If your first thought in the morning is stress, your day starts uphill. Align your rest with what you want to achieve. Remember, sleeping isn't wasting time, it's recharging your power. If you want to build a truly strong mind, start by giving your body the rest it deserves. Only then can you face the world with the clarity and determination of a true Stoic. 5. Breathe or let chaos control you. Beep, beep, beep. Your alarm goes off. You turn it off, but you're already late. You jump out of bed, throw on the first thing you find, and rush out the door. While trying to fix your hair with one hand, you check your phone with the other. 10 unread messages, some from work, others from your family. You get in the car and traffic is a nightmare. Honk, honk, sudden brake. Some guy yells from his window. You arrive at work and your boss is waiting with a stern face. I need that report in 10 minutes. Where even is that file? You wonder. You start searching, but the system freezes. Click, click, click. Nothing. And to top it all off, you realize you forgot to eat breakfast. Your heart is racing. You feel the pressure in your chest, the stiffness in your neck, your mind scattered. Everything is chaos, and you are its prisoner. Now tell me, my friend, how many of your days start like this? How many times have you felt like the world is dragging you along and you have no control? The problem isn't traffic, work, or your alarm clock. The problem is you don't know how to breathe. Sounds absurd, right? Breathing is the most natural thing in the world. We do it without thinking, from the moment we're born until the moment we die. But what you might not realize is that the way you breathe can be the difference between a chaotic mind and a strong one. And no, this isn't an exaggeration. Breathing is the pause button for your nervous system. Science is clear. When you breathe shallowly, you activate the sympathetic nervous system, the one that prepares you for fight or flight. It's as if your body thinks you're being chased by a bear, when in reality you're just stressed about a work email. But when you breathe deeply and intentionally, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the one that brings you back to calm. It's like pressing the Zen mode button. Suddenly, instead of a bear, all you see is a playful puppy. Your heart rate slows down, your mind clears, and everything feels much less chaotic. If you saw yourself in that morning scenario, then you need to learn to breathe. Trust me, there is no simpler way to build a strong and unshakable mind. So, what can you do next time? Try the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 8. Repeat it 4 times, and you'll feel your body shift into a state of calm. And here's a little extra tip. Pair your breathing with a physical gesture to signal to your body, relax, we've got this under control. Shake your shoulders as if you're shrugging off stress. Stretch your arms as you inhale like you're waking from a deep sleep, or tap your chest lightly before exhaling, like hitting a reset button. Remember, my friend, a strong mind isn't one that never faces chaos. It's one that knows how to find calm within it. 6. Nature makes you stronger. Imagine a river winding through the mountains, moving without hurry yet with unstoppable force. For centuries it has carved deep canyons, wearing down rock little by little, effortlessly. Around it, trees stand tall, stretching their branches toward the sky, growing steadily, ring after ring, silent witnesses to the passage of time. Birds glide with grace, not fighting against the wind, but allowing themselves to be carried by its currents. And there, in the midst of all that harmony, you realize something. Nature never rushes, yet everything gets done. So why do you live so disconnected from it? You've probably experienced this. You leave home just in time, chugging your coffee without even tasting it. On the subway, you glue yourself to your phone, checking emails and messages you won't even respond to. The day flies by in the blink of an eye, surrounded by noise, screens, and the constant feeling that the world is pushing you forward without giving you a break. By evening, your head feels foggy, like you've run a marathon without moving. You need a break, but instead of pausing, you keep going, scrolling mindlessly, jumping from one app to another, watching others stay busy, travel, work, accomplish things. The day slips away, and you're still running without actually getting anywhere. Did you know there's something called nature deficit? It's real. Psychologist Katia Hueso explains that it's a silent deficiency that's weakening us without us realizing it. We spend our lives trapped between 4 walls, surrounded by screens, more digitally connected than we are connected to the real world. And the result? More stress, more anxiety, more exhaustion. Now that you know this, imagine another scenario. You close your laptop, put down your phone and step outside. No notification sounds, just the wind rustling through the leaves. You take a deep breath, and for the first time all day you realize something. Everything continues at its own pace, without rushing. The sun follows its path. The clouds drift without needing to hurry. The birds move from tree to tree without worrying about the clock. Ah, that peace? It's indescribable. And here's a question Seneca would ask if he were here. How do you expect to feel strong if you never step out of your comfort zone? He said it clearly. Living in constant comfort and avoiding hardship is to ignore half of nature. Because yes, nature isn't just sunshine and a refreshing breeze. It's rain, it's cold, it's effort. It's learning to get wet, to walk on rough terrain, to feel the wind on your face without complaining. It's remembering that your body was made to move with nature, not to be trapped inside four walls. So tell me, my friend, when was the last time you went outside without seeking refuge in a screen? How about a challenge? Leave your phone behind. Put on some comfortable shoes and go for a walk. No music, no podcasts, just you and the natural world. Watch how the sunlight filters through the leaves. Listen to the birds sing. Feel the wind against your skin. After an hour, compare how you feel. Lighter, clearer. Spend at least 10 minutes a day outdoors, without distractions. It could be in a park, your backyard, or just walking around your neighborhood. The key is to be present, connect with your surroundings, and let nature work its magic. So now you know. Step outside. Connect. Let yourself grow stronger. Wisdom is found in nature, but only if you're willing to listen. When you do, you don't just strengthen your mind. You gain a lifelong ally on your journey to a fuller life. 7. Your environment shapes who you are. My friend, show me your space and I'll tell you what your mind will become. It's as simple as that. Look around. What do you see? A clean, organized desk, or a mountain of papers, tangled cables, and empty coffee cups? A space that inspires calm, or a chaotic mess that only adds noise to your head? Because here's an uncomfortable truth. Your environment isn't just a reflection of your mind. It also shapes it. Think about someone like Steve Jobs. Do you think his success was just luck? That his mind didn't play a crucial role? His obsession with simplicity wasn't just an aesthetic preference. It was a mental strategy. His office had only the essentials: a lamp, a chair, a clear desk. Not because he liked emptiness, but because he understood that external noise creates internal noise. If your space is full of distractions, so is your mind. The simpler your environment, the more clarity you have to think, decide, and create. And the Stoics understood this centuries ago. Eliminate the unnecessary and you will find the essential. To them, external chaos wasn't just a visual inconvenience. It was a reflection of internal disorder. Seneca was a perfect example of this. He didn't just preach self-sufficiency. He lived it to the letter. Do you think he had piles of clothes he never wore? A collection of mugs that said, "Just one more coffee and I'll conquer the world"? A drawer full of cables for devices that didn't even exist anymore? Spoiler: no. To him, unnecessary things were a burden, not just physically, but mentally. He knew that the more you accumulate, the more noise you create in your mind. And if your mind is filled with things that don't add value, how do you expect to find clarity? Now tell me, my friend, what does your space look like? Maybe your room looks like a thrift store, clothes piled in every corner, a chair buried under weeks of jackets. Or maybe your desk is a battlefield, tangled cables, forgotten papers, and a coffee mug with leftover liquid from 2 days ago. Maybe your home has the TV running in the background all day, your phone buzzing nonstop, and a pile of stuff you plan to organize someday. But that day never comes. And then you wonder why your mind feels overwhelmed, why you can't focus on anything, why every small problem feels like too much. Your environment programs you, conditions you, shapes you. If everything around you is chaotic, your mind will be too. And without realizing it, that defines how you think, how you feel, and what you do every single day. So, do you want to design the perfect environment to build a strong mind? First, declutter like a Stoic. Ask yourself, does this add value, or is it just taking up space? If it doesn't serve a purpose, get rid of it. Keep only what truly benefits you. Second, create focus zones and rest zones. Don't mix everything in one place. If you work from your bed, your brain will never know whether it's time to be productive or time to sleep. If your living space is full of distractions, don't expect to find clarity there. Third, make your environment work for you. If you want to read more, put books where you can see them. If you want to exercise, keep your workout shoes ready. Design your space so that what you want to do is the easiest and most automatic option, because in the end, your environment shapes your mind. So tell me, my friend, what is your space turning you into? Let us know in the comments. What will be your first step in getting rid of everything that no longer serves you? 8. Adversity is not your enemy. Tell me, my friend, how many times have you complained because life keeps throwing obstacles your way? How many times have you thought, why me, when something didn't go as planned? You lose a job, someone disappoints you, a plan falls apart, and in your mind, it all feels like an injustice. But now imagine something different. What if every problem wasn't a punishment, but an opportunity to make you stronger? Think about it. Every great story of resilience begins with hardship. No one becomes strong in comfort. No one becomes legendary because life was easy. Here's an example you may not know. Theodore Roosevelt. As a child, Roosevelt wasn't the unstoppable leader he would later become. He was sickly, suffered from severe asthma attacks that left him gasping for air, and spent more time in bed than outside. Most people in his position would have accepted that as their fate. But his father didn't pity him. Instead, he told him something that would change his life forever. You have a brilliant mind, but your body is weak, and without a strong body, your mind will never reach its full potential. From that moment on, Roosevelt decided he would not be a victim of his circumstances. He dedicated himself to boxing, weightlifting, and outdoor life. He became a man of action. And when life hit him with unimaginable tragedy, losing both his mother and wife on the same day, he didn't fall apart. He moved west, reinvented himself, and returned as a leader who faced adversity with absolute determination. He didn't complain about problems. He used them as training. The Stoics saw life the same way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A mind unshaken by violent passions is a fortress, and a man has no safer refuge than within himself." Think of it this way. Marcus Aurelius was essentially the Stoic version of Batman. He ruled an empire in crisis, faced betrayals, wars, and plagues, yet he remained in control, not because the world was easy, but because he had turned his mind into an unbreakable fortress. It didn't matter what happened outside. What mattered was how he responded. Now think about a relationship that didn't work out, a friendship that ended, that moment when you felt like everything was falling apart. Tell me, did you learn something from that experience? I bet you did, even if you didn't see it at the time. Maybe you realized you couldn't rely on others to feel complete. Maybe you saw that you had been settling for less than you deserved. Adversity pushes you to grow, but only if you choose to learn from it instead of running from it. So here are 3 things you can do when life throws obstacles your way. First, laugh at the problem. Yes, seriously. Sometimes things seem terrible in the moment, but with time you realize they weren't such a big deal. If you're going to laugh about it in 5 years, why not start laughing now? Second, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Every challenge comes with a lesson. Is it patience, resilience, the ability to let go of what you can't control? If you find the lesson, the struggle won't have been in vain. Third, act as if this is training. When life tests you, take a deep breath and think, okay, this is part of the process. This is making me stronger. Because every challenge you overcome is like a muscle you're building in your mind. Every tough day is like an obstacle course. At first you may stumble, fall, and feel like you won't make it to the end. But each time you overcome a hurdle, Your legs get stronger, your endurance grows, and your mind learns not to give up. Next time life tests you, picture yourself in the middle of that race. Every hit is part of the training. Every fall is a lesson pushing you closer to a stronger version of yourself. Because in the end, what truly matters isn't how many obstacles are in your way. It's who you become when you cross the finish line. 9. Stop thinking about it and just do it. My friend, how many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? That tomorrow that never comes, that turns into weeks, months, even years. Dreams postponed, projects gathering dust in the corners of your mind. It's time to break that cycle. It's time to act. But don't worry, you're not alone in this. Did you know that Victor Hugo, the author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, struggled with massive procrastination? He had an imminent deadline, but distractions kept getting in the way. So what did he do? He stopped thinking about when to do it. He locked himself in his room and, with no other options, wrote relentlessly until he finished his masterpiece. Was it a drastic measure? Yes. But was it effective? Absolutely. As Seneca put it, while we procrastinate, life speeds on. And it's that simple. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," life keeps moving forward without waiting for you. It doesn't pause to see if you're ready. It doesn't stop until you have more energy or until the perfect moment arrives. Every moment you postpone is a train leaving without you, an opportunity fading away, a time you'll never get back. How many things have you put off for later, only to realize that months or even years had passed? Maybe you wanted to learn a new language, start a business, improve your health, and yet you're still in the same place. The Stoics knew that the key to a strong mind isn't intention, it's action, because life doesn't wait. The question isn't, when will it be the perfect time to start? But rather, how much longer will you keep postponing what you know you need to do? Coach Jimena Miranda puts it clearly. The power of the morning lies in the ability to make quick and conscious decisions. Taking immediate action activates you physically and mentally. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about creating it with every choice you make. So, are you ready to stop overthinking and just do it? First, use the 5-minute rule. Want to start reading more? Don't overcomplicate it by searching for the perfect book or waiting until you have time. Grab any book and read for 5 minutes. Need to start exercising? Don't force yourself into an hour-long routine. Just put on your sneakers, do 5 squats, and see what happens. Most likely, once you start, momentum will keep you going. Second, make the first step ridiculously easy. Want to write an article? Leave your notebook and pen ready the night before and commit to writing just 1 sentence. Want to eat healthier? Don't try to overhaul your entire diet overnight, just buy a little more fruit and vegetables tomorrow. The key is simply to get started. Third, use the public commitment tactic. Tell someone what you're going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going for a run. Today, I'm starting my project. This month, I'm saving $20. When you say it out loud, your mind registers it as a real commitment. And trust me, no one wants to be the person who talks a lot but never follows through. The key is to begin. Don't wait for perfect conditions, because that ideal moment may never come. Action beats inaction. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals and strengthens your resolve. In the end, it's not about thinking about what you want to do. It's about becoming someone who just does it. 10. Be grateful or live in scarcity. My friend, listen. The way you see life changes everything. You can wake up every day focusing on what you lack, what you haven't achieved yet, what others have that you don't. Or you can train your mind to see what you do have, how far you've come, and what is in your life today that wasn't there before. The difference between these two mindsets is the difference between living in scarcity or living in fulfillment. And this isn't some modern idea. Marcus Aurelius practiced it nearly 2,000 years ago. In his meditations, he wrote lists of things he was grateful for, and not just for the good things, but also for the difficult ones. He appreciated adversity because it gave him the opportunity to strengthen his character. He was grateful for problems because they trained him to become wiser. His mindset wasn't, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What can I be grateful for today?" The Stoics understood it well. We lack nothing if we stop desiring more. Scarcity isn't always real. Many times it's just mental. If you live with the belief that you always need more to be happy, nothing will ever be enough. If you believe you don't have what it takes to move forward, you never will. Imagine two people living the exact same day. The first wakes up and thinks, "Ugh, Monday again. What a drag. It's freezing. I have so much work piled up. I didn't sleep well. And to top it off, my neighbor is still making noise." He gets up already carrying the weight of the world. The second wakes up and says, "I have another day ahead of me, a new opportunity. The sun is shining. I'm going to enjoy a quiet coffee before starting my day. Let's see what I can improve today." What's the difference? The circumstances didn't change. What changed was the mindset. My friend, you too can build a strong mind if you learn to be grateful for what you have. And here's a practical tip that can transform your daily life. Every morning, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be big things. They can be simple. I slept well today. I have food in the fridge. I got a message from someone who cares about me. Why do this? Because your brain is programmed to focus on what's missing, on what could go wrong, on the problems. But if you train it daily to see the good over time, it will change the way it perceives reality. Here's another trick. When something doesn't go as planned, find a reason to be grateful for it. Did your plans get canceled? Be grateful that you now have time to rest. A problem at work? Maybe it was a chance to prove your ability to solve it. It's not magic, it's perspective. So tell me, my friend, do you want to keep living in scarcity? Or will you start training your mind to see the abundance you already have? Remember, gratitude isn't just a nice idea. It's the key to seeing life clearly, to building a strong mind, and to stopping that feeling of always lacking something. 11. Pause, don't react. Imagine you're in a chess game. Your opponent moves a piece, and without thinking, you make your move instantly. You don't analyze. You don't think about strategy. You just react. And in a matter of seconds, checkmate. You've lost because you didn't take a moment to think. Now tell me, how many times do you do the same thing in life? Someone says something you don't like, and you blurt out the first response that comes to mind. You face a problem, and instead of analyzing it, you act on impulse. You react without thinking, and many times that's exactly what gets you into even more trouble. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman, author of Thinking Fast and Slow, explains this well. Our brain has 2 ways of acting. One is fast and impulsive, reacting without thought, and the other is slower and more reflective, analyzing before making a decision. The problem? Most of the time we live in the first mode, like a pen spring that pops at the slightest touch. No filter, no pause, just an automatic reaction that often leads to regret. The Stoics understood this well. Know yourself, they said. Learning to pause before reacting is a sign of mental strength. Because it's not about suppressing emotions or becoming a robot. It's about mastering the art of responding wisely instead of being dragged around by the moment. Imagine this. You invite your aunt over after months without seeing her. You prepare coffee, sit with her, and suddenly she says, "Oh, there's dust on the table. If I were you, I'd clean more often." Your instinct tells you to fire back immediately. Well, if it bothers you so much, clean it yourself. Or maybe just frown and say, yeah, whatever. But if you take a deep breath before answering, everything changes. You think, do I really want to argue about this? Maybe you just smile and say, I'll keep that in mind, Aunt. So, how have you been? That tiny space between stimulus and response can be the difference between a pleasant afternoon and an unnecessary argument. And yes, I know what you're thinking. It's easier said than done. When emotions run high, when anger flares, when frustration takes over, stopping yourself feels almost impossible. And you're right, it's not easy. But here are 3 steps that will help you train your mind. First, use the 3-second rule. Before responding to something that upsets you, count to 3 in your mind. That small pause gives you just enough time to decide if what you're about to say is really worth it. Second, shift your focus. Instead of reacting with, "Why did they say that to me?" ask yourself, "Does this comment actually help me in any way?" Sometimes, a criticism contains something useful. Sometimes, a difficult situation is an opportunity to improve your patience. Third, breathe. Remember what we talked about before, how breathing can change your mental state? Now's the time to put it into practice. If you feel anger or fear taking over, take a deep breath before acting. It's not just relaxation, it's a biological strategy that helps shift your brain from reactive mode to rational mode. At the end of the day, my friend, a strong mind isn't one that never gets triggered. It's one that knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to wait. Because in life, just like in chess, the best moves aren't made on impulse, they're made with strategy. 12. Saying no is a superpower. Tell me, my friend, how many times have you said yes just because you felt awkward saying no? Yes, I'll take care of that, don't worry. Even though you already have 1,000 things on your plate. Yes, sure, I'll go to that event. Even though all you really want is to rest. Yes, I'll help you with that. Even though it's not your problem or your responsibility. My friend, if Marcus Aurelius saw you now, he'd probably say, "If you don't decide for yourself, someone else will." If you don't set your own limits, life will do it for you, and not in a way that benefits you. Learning to say no isn't selfish. It's clarity. It's knowing what truly matters and what isn't worth your time. Have you heard of Warren Buffett's no rule? He understood it well. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. And no, it's not that he was selfish or antisocial. He simply understood something that you and I often forget. Every thoughtless yes is a no to what truly matters. I'm sure this situation sounds familiar. Someone invites you to a dinner you have zero interest in. Your week has been exhausting and all you want is to rest, but there you are, texting back, "Okay, I'll be there," while feeling a little pang of regret, because deep down, you didn't want to say yes, but you also didn't know how to say no. So tell me, do you want to become the superhero of no? First, buy yourself some time. You don't have to respond instantly. When someone asks something of you, take a breath and say, "Let me think about it." This gives you enough space to decide if you truly want to do it, or if you're just accepting out of obligation. Want another trick? Have your responses ready. If you always fall into automatic yeses, practice responses like, "I can't commit to that right now," or "Thanks for thinking of me, but I'll have to pass this time." Write them down in your phone's notes so you can just copy and paste when needed. And above all, remember your most important yes. Every no you say protects what truly matters. If you learn to say no to things that drain your time and energy, you'll be saying yes to your peace, your growth, and what you actually want in life. Because in the end, my friend, your peace is worth more than anyone else's approval. Learning to say no is an act of power, a shield against what doesn't serve you, and a key that unlocks a more authentic life. It's not about rejecting everything. It's about only accepting what truly adds value. Are you ready to take control? Building a strong mind isn't a matter of luck. It's the result of every habit you choose, every decision you make, and every yes or no you decide with intention. It's not about changing overnight, but about small habits that over time create unstoppable transformation. Because a strong mind isn't built in easy moments. It's built through daily discipline, in the way you face challenges, and in how you choose to act in every situation. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments. I forge my mind with every decision. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.